Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because what happened on the set of The View yesterday is going to go down as one of the most explosive moments in daytime television history. And yes, the rumor flying around the internet right now is absolutely true. Joy Behar has officially quit the show after an absolutely brutal on-air clash with none other than the mayor of Flavortown himself, Guy Fieri. It all started innocently enough when the producers booked Guy to promote his new diners, drive-ins and dives holiday special, but nobody, and I mean nobody, expected the conversation to take the turn it did when the topic of traditional American food versus what Joy called overpriced grease bombs came up. Within minutes the studio audience was gasping, the co-hosts were frozen, and cameras caught Joy's face turning the exact shade of Guy's famous flaming shirt as he leaned forward and delivered a 10-second takedown that left her speechless for the first time in 27 seasons. Sources inside ABC say Joy stormed off set the moment they cut to commercial, threw her microphone on the floor, told executive producer Brian Ted "I'm done with this circus," and hasn't been back since. Her publicist released a short statement this morning saying she is taking time to reflect on new opportunities, which everyone in media knows is code for she quit and they're trying to save face. By noon yesterday #JoyQuits was trending #1 worldwide and clips of the exchange racked up 40 million views in under 12 hours. This is bigger than Rosie vs. Elizabeth, bigger than Meghan McCain's walkout. This is the end of an era and we're just getting started breaking it all down for you right now. Let's set the stage exactly how it went down because the full context is wild. The panel was Joy, Whoopi, Sarah, Alyssa, and Sunny, standard Tuesday lineup, and Guy Fieri comes out in a bowling shirt, backward sunglasses on the head, grinning ear to ear like he always does. The first 10 minutes are actually wholesome. They're tasting his new triple bacon mac and cheese burger, everybody's laughing, Whoopi is doing her this is sinful bit, everything is fine. Then Sunny asks a softball question about how Guy feels when food critics call his style heart attack food, and Guy gives his usual answer about celebrating real American cooks who don't need a Michelin star to make people happy. That's when Joy decides to jump in with both feet. She puts her glasses down, looks straight at him and says, quote, "Let's be honest, Guy, you're basically selling diabetes on a plate to people who can't afford to eat this way every day, and then you wrap it in an American flag and call it patriotism." You could hear the audience suck in air like a vacuum. Guy's smile doesn't even flicker, he just nods slowly, takes a sip of water, and says, "Joy, with all due respect, I grew up on food stamps in Ferndale, California. My dad worked 2 jobs so we could eat. Maybe you should try talking to the line cooks feeding 3 kids on minimum wage before you lecture me from a studio in Manhattan about what poor people can afford." The place erupted. Whoopi tried to cut to break early but the damage was done. Joy's mouth was actually open and nothing came out. A moment that will live in memes forever. After the commercial break, Joy came back guns blazing trying to regain control, but at that point she was fighting a losing battle because the audience had clearly turned. She started going off about food inequality and how celebrity chefs like Guy glamorize unhealthy eating while children in certain communities don't have access to fresh vegetables, which on paper sounds like a valid talking point, but the way she delivered it came across as straight-up condescending. Guy just kept calmly dismantling her, pointing out that his restaurants hire felons trying to get back on their feet, that he's donated millions to school lunch programs, and that last year alone his foundation built 20 community kitchens in food deserts. Every time Joy tried to interrupt he'd raise one finger, say "Hold on, darlin'," and finish his point while the crowd cheered louder. At one point Alyssa Farah Griffin actually tried to change the subject to Guy's hair and even that didn't work because Joy snapped at her, "No, we're not doing the hair thing. We're talking about accountability." Backstage staff say that's when producers started panicking because Joy was visibly shaking and Guy was still ice cold, just dropping truth bombs with a smile. When they finally wrapped the segment, Joy refused to shake his hand, whispered something that the mix barely caught as "You're everything wrong with this country," and walked straight off set. Security had to escort her to her dressing room because staff thought she might try to go back and continue the fight. By the time the show ended, social media had already declared Guy Fieri the undisputed winner of the day, the week, maybe the entire year. Clips were edited with WWE music. People were making side-by-side videos of Joy's greatest hits versus her getting absolutely cooked in real time. And the phrase "hold on darlin'" became an instant TikTok sound that's already been used in 3 million videos. Conservative outlets obviously ran with headlines like "Guy Fieri destroys woke Joy Behar in her own studio," while left-leaning commentators tried to spin it as Joy courageously speaking truth to power. But even they had to admit the optics were brutal. What nobody saw coming was the speed of Joy's exit. Multiple insiders say she called her agent from the car, told him she was never stepping foot on that stage again, and by 6 p.m. yesterday her name was scrubbed from next week's guest promo materials. ABC tried to keep it quiet at first, floating the usual personal day excuse. But when paparazzi caught Joy at JFK boarding a flight to her house in the Hamptons with 3 suitcases and no return ticket, the story exploded all over again. Her co-hosts have been radio silent on social media except for Ana Navarro, who posted a cryptic wine glass emoji that everybody interpreted as good riddance. Now the big question everyone is asking, what happens to The View without Joy Behar? She's been there since 1997, longer than anyone except Whoopi. She's the last original co-host standing, and love her or hate her, she was the spark that kept the show unpredictable. Ratings have been slipping for years, and this blow-up, ironically, gave them their highest number since the 2020 election. ABC executives are reportedly in full panic mode, trying to figure out if they ride the wave and go full culture war every day or if they pivot back to safer territory. Names being thrown around as possible replacements include Meghan McCain coming back, which would be insane, Amber Ruffin, Sunny Hostin getting promoted to permanent moderator, or even a wild card like Ana Navarro taking the lead seat. Meanwhile, Guy Fieri went live on Instagram from his ranch last night, smoking a massive brisket, and said, quote, "I didn't come here to fight, I came to feed people, but if you swing at the king of flav or tone, you best not miss." The comments were pure chaos, half the country calling him a legend, the other half calling him a bully, but his follower count jumped by 2 million literally overnight. So where do we go from here? Joy Behar is 82 years old. She's got more money than she'll ever spend, multiple homes, and a stand-up career she can always fall back on if she wants. Sources close to her say she's telling friends this was a long time coming, that the show had become too restrictive and she was tired of walking on eggshells every morning. Whether that's true or she just couldn't handle getting publicly outmatched on her own turf, we may never know. One thing is certain, daytime television just lost its loudest voice and gained its greatest legend of a meltdown. Guy Fieri woke up this morning, threw on another flaming shirt, and went right back to filming in some small-town diner where the waitresses call him honey and nobody lectures him about food inequality. And somewhere in the Hamptons, Joy Behar is probably pouring a very large glass of wine, wondering how the guy with the spiky blonde hair and the Dodge Challenger just ended her 27-year run with a smile and a "hold on darlin'." The View will go on, it always does, but it will never be the same again, and honestly America, we're all going to be talking about this one for years. Flav or Tone 1, Manhattan Elitism 0.